Universal Control is Apple's latest attempt at keeping people inside of their Apple ecosystem, and in short allows you to control a plethora of Apple devices, all from one set of peripherals, be that a keyboard and mouse or even a trackpad if you're on something like a MacBook. Now, I know what you're saying, we've had this on Windows and Unix systems for years, and you'd be right, but in typical Apple fashion, what they've done is they've taken this concept and dialed it up to 11. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Universal Control, what it is, how to use it, and how I use it in my workflow. So if you're excited to find out a little bit more about Universal Control, get down there, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, all of that good stuff, and let's get straight into the content.
Out of luck, now I move up and move humble cause the hate and the jealousy, my mama telling me count up your blessings.
So let's start off with what is Universal Control. We kind of covered that in the introduction, but there's a little bit more to it. Basically, it allows you to control up to 5 different devices at once. These could be a plethora of Macs or iPads. This doesn't work on the iPhone right now. Basically, all you need to do is place these devices close by, and as you drag to the side of the screen, it's actually just going to move that mouse and cursor from one device to the other. For example, if I were to have a Mac Mini on my main display, my MacBook, and then also my iPad, I could literally move my keyboard and mouse from one all the way to the other. But they each retain all of their different characteristics. For example, the Apple Pencil support on the iPad. So this actually works across different Macs and different iPads. The only real requirement here is you're on the latest version of macOS and the latest version of iPadOS. This used to be in beta but is now released for everyone, so you can go ahead and start using this right now. And let me show you how you can do that. So with your iPad and your Mac all set up and up to date, you're just going to go onto your Mac, Settings, Display, and then you'll see a little button that says Universal Control in the bottom right corner. Clicking that, ensure all 3 of those tick boxes are selected, and then you can close it down. Bring your iPad or other macOS device fairly close, and then simply just drag your mouse all the way to the edge of the screen, and what you'll see is this such small little bubble on the corner of your screen. Just keep pushing through that, and eventually your keyboard and your mouse will just appear on your iPad or other Mac screen. It really is that simple, and it's pretty incredible. That setup was really that easy, and we actually have quite a lot of control that we can make here as well. Inside of those display settings, we can freely move these devices around, because it tries to guess exactly where your display is going to be, but it might not always get it right. For example, I found that sometimes I had my iPad on the left-hand side of my Mac, and it would actually set it up on the right. So just like any other display, we can simply drag these about and orient them however we need to for the best viewing experience. Okay, brilliant. So now that's done, what can we actually do? Well, that's the beauty of this. We actually have complete control over both of the devices inside of their own operating systems, be that iPadOS or macOS. Many of my workflows actually use the iPad as a standalone device. For example, using the Apple Pencil to take some notes or do some drawings, and actually I also use CAD on my iPad with Shaper 3D, mainly because I found the interface a lot more intuitive than something I might find on the Mac. What's really clever though is once I'm done with that drawing on my iPad, I can simply move my mouse across, click and drag it all the way across to my Mac. Letting go is just going to copy all of the content that was on my iPad straight to my Mac. This is kind of already a thing and has been for a very long time, the universal clipboard and handoff and that sort of thing. But what Universal Control has allowed us to do is to have all of these interactions just a little bit more unified into one place. So how are some of the ways that I've been using this workflow? Well, typically when I'm in a meeting at work, I will use my iPad to take notes. So what I can do is I can just have the Notes app open next to me on the iPad, and I can be using my main laptop as the conferencing device. And then I can simply, as I need to, flick across to the side and start typing away at a note, and then just bring it back when I need to unmute myself or turn my camera on and off. This is a lot more practical than me having to physically turn to look at the iPad and then start typing on the screen. It's not the most intuitive experience, whereas having the keyboard and mouse that I have right in front of me, being able to control it, it just made that note taking a little bit easier. While I'm programming, I also use it quite heavily. For instance, having my music player up on my iPad, it just allows me to really quickly swipe across, change the song, find the playlist, without having to physically stop, look at the device, take my hand out and start to tap. It's just making things a little bit of a smoother and more unified experience, and I absolutely love this. Whenever I'm starting a new programming task, I'll normally want to storyboard out exactly how a user is going to flow through the application. I will normally start this on my iPad with the Apple Pencil, so I can physically start to draw it. But then when I'm ready, I can just click and pull it onto my Mac to allow me to view it a little bit more clearly, and also start to annotate it and make other changes as well. Both of these devices have their powers, and I think this is where universal control really comes into its own. There are some workflows that I simply would never attempt on my Mac, and there are some workflows I would never attempt on my iPad. For example, programming on an iPad is nigh on impossible unless you're using something like Swift Playground. But just being able to have Stack Overflow open on my iPad and have my main monitor as well is really useful. It's almost like having a second monitor, but that second monitor has its own standalone operating system and application and use set that I've never really seen before. So anyway guys, what do you think of universal control? Do you believe it is just a gimmick, or can you actually see the advantages of using it in a workflow? Let me know in the comment section down below, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, get subscribed while you're down there as well. Anyway, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.